Test, hello, can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2, hello, hello, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got Gabriele Torelli on pole, Luca Franca alongside, Jerzy Spinkovic lining up on row 2 with David Pouget in the number 15 starting in 4th. What?
Amici sportivi, buongiorno, bentrovati all'Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari di Imola per questo grande appuntamento. Ovviamente parliamo della domenica di gara di AC Racing Weekend, atto conclusivo per cui ci stiamo preparando per questa meravigliosa situazione. Buongiorno bentrovati cari amiche e amici sportivi per il primo appuntamento odierno, subito in pista la mattina con i piloti della Clio Cup Series, gara che era in praticato di svolgersi ieri nel pomeriggio, ma per ovviamente il numero di prove, di gare, ma anche di rallentamenti, purtroppo questo non è avvenuto e si è deciso con la direzione corsa di portare l'evento a questa mattinata. Prima gara di giornata, ma intanto un buongiorno, un saluto a tutte le sportive e gli sportivi, gli appassionati di motori presenti da parte di ACI Sport, il braccio sportivo di ACI per quanto riguarda la gestione e l'organizzazione degli eventi motoristici di velocità in pista, ma anche realistici, storici e quant'altro. E da parte di Formula Imola, la società che si occupa di curare e gestire ogni singolo evento che ha luogo sul circuito Enzo Dino Ferrari, sia di natura sportiva, motoristica, sportiva oppure musicale e artistica. Un saluto e un buongiorno da parte del presidente di Formula Imola Giancarlo Minardi, del direttore dell'Autodromo di Imola, il dottor Pietro Benvenuti. Un saluto al direttore di corsa, lo salutiamo, lo ricordiamo, da Massa Lombarda, Massimiliano Max Dinassi, direttore di gara di tutti gli eventi a 4 ruote che hanno luogo sul Tobogga del Santerno. Un saluto e un buongiorno a tutte le marshal e i marshal, meglio noti come commissari di pista, che sono dislocati sui 4.909 metri del circuito. Un buongiorno ovviamente a tutto lo staff dell'antincendio della CEA, lo staff ovviamente dei cronometristi, salutiamo l'equipe di Perugia Timing, che sono i cronometristi ufficiali di questo appuntamento, dei principali eventi motoristici non solo in Italia ma nel mondo, essendo i cronometristi ufficiali del mondiale Superbike, oltre che dell'italiano di mondo velocità. Un saluto allo staff dell'igiene e non vogliamo dimenticare la Segur Fox di Ferrara, Loris, Raffaele, tutta l'equipe degli addetti agli ingressi, al controllo tax, alle tribune, quindi grazie a tutti loro e ovviamente ricordiamo la sala stampa curata dall'equipe di Marcello Bonini, vi ricordo il responsabile fonico, il nostro Walter Matano. Abbiamo la presenza prestigiosa di un pool di esperti, addetti al circuito, addetti alle mansioni di Formula Imola, quindi dall'ufficio sportivo all'ufficio marketing, economato, front office, e il segmento tecnico fondamentale, tutte le aziende che collaborano con queste team per il mantenimento del tracciato. Boris Casadio in cabina commento, alla presenza di un vero amante delle corse, Danilo Reghini. Andiamo direttamente in griglia di partenza con quello che è il primo appuntamento di oggi. Allora, andiamo subito con la Clio Cup Series. Spazio quindi una vettura, la Renault Clio, presente sulle piste con il suo monomarca non solo in Italia ma in tutta Europa, ovviamente inizialmente in Francia dal 1991. Siamo arrivati alla quinta serie delle Renault Clio. Vi ricordo, la vettura è un 1.3 di cilindrata, 4 cilindri turbo, una vettura capace di sprigionare 180 cavalli con 300 Nm di coppia massima. Il cambio sequenziale SADEF ST82, 5 marce più la retro, e vi ricordiamo che ha una selettiva ovviamente con palette al volante, come tutte le vetture da competizione moderne. Ci piace ricordare in questo contesto che Renault Clio in realtà rappresenta nel mondo di Renault ancora una volta una sorta di tra i primi trofei monomarca a volte coperte a sostegno della partecipazione dei giovani talenti al mondo del motorsport. Renault è sempre stata all'avanguardia e soprattutto ha sempre creduto l'azienda di Viry Châtillon, l'azienda della Losanga, nelle qualità di un motorsport che potesse avvicinare più persone alla pista, non espressamente, diciamo così, frutto della sola presenza, possiamo dire, dei benestanti, ma poter allargare la fascia con delle vetture a costi contenuti, ed è stata sempre comunque, ha permesso sempre di creare un vivaio sia nelle vetture derivate di produzione, le ruote coperte, così come nelle formule, con le tante Formula Renault che hanno comunque annoverato fior di campioni divenuti protagonisti in ambito mondiale. Io penso alle Prost, che dalle Formule Renault poi è arrivato addirittura a vincere e 4 campionati del mondo di Formula 1, ma anche esempi più recenti. Kimi Raikkonen stesso è stato campione in Formula Renault World Series 2000 prima di approdare ovviamente alle massime serie e diventare campione di Formula 1 nel 2007 con Ferrari. Ricordiamo che la Clio, tra l'altro, è erede come concetto di uno dei primi monomarca che Renault ha lanciato, la R8 Golden Cup del 1966. Allora andiamo in griglia di partenza per introdurre i protagonisti in prima fila con i colori della scuderia bolognese Rangoni Corse, il pilota di Scandiano col numero 12 Gabriele Corretti che tira il bianco col numero 91 per la scuderia MC Mototecnica Franca 20480. Seconda fila per il numero 125 il polacco del team Unique Racing Spinkiewicz col numero 15 già mattatore della serie continentale e della serie francese Fougier del team GPA Racing. Terza fila per la scuderia capitolina Faro Racing con numero 30 Scappa Lancellotti che ha fermato il cronometro su 2:04 e 95. Poi vi ricordo con il numero 116 sempre per la scuderia MC Mototecnica abbiamo Treppi, quindi a seguire in quarta fila con il numero 44 sempre per il team Faro Lancellotti, con il numero 1 il campione della serie europea di Clio, parliamo di Giurador del team Milano. Le vetture sono tutte schierate, pronte per intraprendere il giro di formazione.
TI racing weekend here at Imola. We are kicking off Sunday's action, maybe not as scheduled, but with the Clio Cup Series. With a couple of delays yesterday, it means that we've slotted our race 1 into this morning's schedule. So it's a busy old day for the Renault Clio Cup Series. Race 1 this morning after qualifying 1 yesterday. We've then got qualifying 2 still to do, and then we do get race 2 underway later on this afternoon. But this is how they will line up for the first race of the weekend. Gabriele Torelli will line up on the pole position with Luca Franca alongside. Jerzy Spinkovic starts on row 2 with current Clio Cup Series champion David Puget alongside. Alex Lancelotti lines up in 5th with Giacomo Trebi alongside. Then we get back to Matteo Lancelotti with Anthony Girardo lining up in 8th place. On the 5th row of the grid, it's Leonardo Arduini with Cristiano Ricciarini for company. Nicola Milà lines up alongside Damiano Puccetti. Then it is Francesco Mioto with Jacopo Giuseppe Jimenez alongside. Then it is Francesco Pagano and both the Schimps, Alejandro Schimpf and Adrian Schimpf, lining up 16th and 17th respectively. René Stiemetz lines up in 18th place with Stefan Polderman and Adam Sasha 19th and 20th. Sandro Catini lines up in 21st with Ludovico Longini alongside. Then it is Guillaume Mayo in 23rd, Quinto Stefano, lining up in 24th. Then it is Nick Stefancic in 25th place. Leonard Vigueur lines up in 26th with Luciano Gioa in 27th. Dew lines up in 28th, followed then by Mia Primozic in 29th, and in 30th place it's Manuel Stefoni, followed by Davide Rossini, Michael Fay, Daniel Pasquale, Rolando Bordaccini lines up in 34th place, followed then by Gianalberto Coldani, and Donato Barnabat lines up in 36th place. Ever the packed out grid here at the Clio Cup Series. My name is Jack Worrell and I will be running you through this weekend's action. And of course we are slightly off schedule as we have had to slot ourselves in today, as we mentioned earlier on. So if we are somewhat shuffled about in terms of live stream time, obviously you know what to expect. But drivers to watch: Gabriele Torelli, of course, he is in the prime position to seal the deal with this race. Whilst he has missed out on the Clio Cup Europe Championship, he did in fact win at Zandvoort. It was confirmed the Clio Cup Mid-Europe, so he is the Clio Cup Mid-Europe champion. David Puget picked up the Clio Cup Europe overall, or the Clio Cup Series. He picked up the championship in that. In terms of Clio Cup Europe, currently leading the way is David Puget, ahead of Gabriele Torelli, so that is still up for grabs. So David really needs to get everything together and secure some good points. Luca Franca at the moment, I believe he is currently the Racers Cup champion for Clio Cup Italia. We'll just confirm that exactly. Of course, we're still down Alex Finkelstein. He is looking after baby Noah at home. We should see him back out on circuit at Catalunya in just a couple of weeks' time. So let's have a look. Clio Cup Italia Challengers Cup is currently being led by Matteo Lancelotti with Giacomo Trebi in 2nd place. Not too much between them, only 9 points, so that's still up for grabs. Luca Franca is indeed leading the Clio Cup Italia Racers points by quite some margin as well. He is currently on 231 points to Alex Lancelotti's 120. So in theory, Luca only needs to score 2 points here, maybe 3 points this weekend, and he has secured that championship. So as long as Luca remains where he is in prime position to pick up that championship, currently lining up in 2nd place. So the cars are coming to the grid at the end of their formation lap. They're working as much temperature into their Michelin Pilot Sport Cup tyres, and we've got dry running scheduled all weekend. So into pole position comes Gabriele Torelli. He's been very hot and cold throughout the season. Usually he's been up at the very top end of the order, picking up wins and podiums. However, when he has a bad round, he has a very bad round indeed. But lining up on pole position, he is going to look to take the double on home soil. He did it once earlier on this season at Monza. The rest of the grid working its way into place. Drivers to watch as well, both the Schimps, Alejandro and Adrian Schimpf. At the moment, they are, 6 points apart at the top of Clio Cup España Challengers Cup. They are a few points apart at the top of Clio Cup Spain, so they're really having to push for the points, as well as Clio Cup Euro Challengers Cup. They are very close together indeed. You can see the grid is that packed. We're having to use not only the full grid right the way up to the start line here, but they're also working their way around the corner. We'll peek over, and the final few cars working their way into position, and then it's down to starters' orders to get the 25-minute race plus 1 lap underway. Everybody just pulling into the final spot. That will be Donato Barnabat just pulling in, and the revs will rise, red lights will come on, and a little bit of creeping from Gabriele Torelli. It's a good start. Luca Franca loses out a slight bit. Jerzy Spinkovic has to come over to defend from David Pouget. Luca Franca potentially already into the lead. We run down towards Tamburello, and Luca Franca is just about in front, 3 wide, so it's Gabriele Torelli on the inside. He will maintain the lead for the moment. Luca Franca has to brave it out around the outside. Jerzy Spinkovic still trying to defend from David Pouget, and we've got a couple of cars running wide. That is the number 60 machine. That will be Leonardo Arduini. We've got a car spun in the background. That is potentially Leonardo Arduini trying to rejoin, and made contact with another one of the cars. However, already trying to extend that margin early on. We've got another couple of cars off in the background as well, but it is still Gabriele Torelli in the lead. Luca Franca looking up the inside. David Pouget has managed to pick up 3rd place. Jerzy Spinkovic down to 4th. Giacomo Trevi currently sat there in 5th place, and there is a very, very damaged car number 60 of Leonardo Arduini. There was a car in the background. I couldn't quite pick up exactly who that was, so I'd imagine, yep, safety car is being deployed. So we're already starting to see, that is another couple of cars off. That is car number 19. Let's pick out exactly who that is. So the safety car is indeed on the circuit at the moment. Gianalberto Coldani, unfortunately, with quite some substantial damage. Let's get a replay of the start. So Jerzy Spinkovic got a good initial phase to the start, but then bogged down. It seems like Gabriele Torelli knew he would be under fire from Luca Franca on the run up towards turn 1. We'll have to try and figure out exactly what happened in the background. So Gianalberto Coldani, he got elbowed wide, so somebody ran wide, elbowed him off the circuit as he tried to rejoin, lost the rear of the car, and that just spun him in front of the field. And unfortunately, Gianalberto Coldani, he did get collected and had nowhere to go. So the cars will now just try and keep some temperature into the tyres, into the brakes as well, and make sure we can get this race back underway. But of course, the main thing has to be making sure the drivers are all right, and of course, the marshals need to make sure that the cars are taken off the circuit and taken to a safe place. Of course, I must say a massive thank you to the marshals, who wouldn't be able to go racing without them this weekend. But we see our first safety car for the Clio Cup Series. Gabriele Torelli, a good start, whilst he will get another go. It's all down to how he manages that start with Luca Franca. David Pouget sort of showing his hand early as well. Already into 3rd place, onto the podium. He knows he's quicker than Luca Franca. He had to fight hard earlier on in the season. We've got another car with damage. That is the number 84 machine, Matteo Lancelotti. That could have been the car that ran wide and sort of ushered Alex Lancelotti towards the edge of the circuit. So the car's coming through. Let's have a quick look out the window to see if anybody's got any substantial damage. We can't see anything at the moment. And I would say, yeah, Matteo Lancelotti, it looks like he's missing the door sill on the left-hand side as well, so he's got a bit of damage. So too does number 21, that is Stefan Polderman. So he has potentially been in the wars early on. What of Nicolas Millat? He's down in 9th place at the moment. Again, a driver that consistently is in that top 10 towards the top of the order, but when it goes wrong, it goes very wrong indeed. We did have Anthony Gerardo. Whereabouts is Gerardo? He's currently P7 at the moment, so he's had an okay start as Gerardo. He started in P8. Nicolas Millat started 11th. He's currently up to 9th. But no, go past the scene of the accident, and we do have another car off to the left. Let's pick out exactly who it is that's missing. So we've got Leonardo Arduini. We have Gianalberto Coldani, and then the 118 machine. That is Francesco Pagano of Costa Ovest, who is currently sat on the side of the circuit as well. So 3 cars off, only in the first sector as well. So the time will continue to tick down. Of course, we do have 21 minutes remaining, plus what seems to be that all-important 1 lap. So there we see the number 60. That is Leonardo Arduini getting thrown in front of the pack. Everyone's trying to avoid him. I think the initial contact might have been made with Francesco Pagano, and then unfortunately that left another car, the number 19 of Gianalberto Coldani, nowhere to go. So let's figure out whereabouts everybody's pulling into their order. Everybody's staying pretty much where they qualified. I'm looking for any sort of big movers and shakers up the field from the first start. 113, that of course being Adrian Schimpf. He started in 17th place. He's up to 11th at the moment, so he has had a very good start. Whether he was just on the right side of the circuit to avoid all of the accident, and I said Gabriele Torelli did a little bit of creeping off the line. It's now popped up to say he is under investigation, but without a reason as to why. I can't imagine it will be track limits because, of course, any advantage gained has been fully mitigated off the start. So I can only assume it is for a potential jump start, and that's exactly what he doesn't need, Gabriele Torelli, whilst he has already crowned himself champion of Clio Cup Mid-Europe. Anything he can do to stick a thorn in the side of rivals, that will be what he's out to do at the moment. So with 19.5 minutes remaining, plus the extra 1 lap, the safety car remains out. I can't quite see the safety car. Are its lights still on? Yes, they are. So the clean-up operation still underway. At the moment, the air temp around the circuit, 21 degrees. So it's a fairly cool morning by Imola standards at the moment. Rather humid, though, 59% humidity at the moment. So I'm sure the drivers are starting to feel that behind the wheel. And, of course, these Renault Clio RS lines are definitely not old by any standards, but I believe they're being upgraded to their facelift model, the facelift variants, as of next season. So if this is your first time watching the Clio Cup Series, we are all split into classes, because we've got the Clio Cup Series itself, but then that's split into 5 different standings. You've got Clio Cup Europe, Clio Cup Italia, Clio Cup France, Clio Cup Mid-Europe and Clio Cup España. And you can choose out of any of those 2 that you want to contend in, whether it be Clio Cup Europe and Clio Cup Italia, or Clio Cup Italia and Clio Cup France, whatever it may be. 2 of those you can pick, as long as one of them is Clio Cup Europe. Say if you want to do a regional, you can just do that regional, with it being Clio Cup Italia, but then if you want to do another, it has to be Clio Cup Europe. But of course, then it's all spread out over an entire season's worth of racing, and it is a busy season that the Clio Cup do take into account, because we kicked off the season at Nogaro, Clio Cup France and Clio Cup Spain. Then we did Monza, Magny-Cours, Spa, Hungaroring, just to name a few, all over Europe. And out of the Clio Cup Europe rounds that you can score points in the European Series, we've had, so far, we've had 7. This is our 8th. And then we round out the season on November the 11th and 12th at Barcelona. So another replay of the start. Let's see how it got underway. So there, Torelli, it doesn't look like he crept too much. Out of the window, it looked like he did. Anthony Girardo with a lot of wheel spin in the background. He got picked off early by Christian Ricciarini. And in terms of classes in all of those series that we mentioned, of course, you've got all of the Clio Cup Italia, Europe, everything within the Clio Cup Series, but then you've also got Cups. You've got the Challengers Cup, which you can score points in, so that's for drivers between 16 and 25 years of age as of the 1st of January this year, or drivers over 26 with a minimum of 10 Clio Cup meetings experience. And if you want to race in the Racers Cup, it's for drivers aged over 26 years old, having less than 10 meetings experience in motorsport, or having never achieved a better result in the race than 5th in the general standings. So you can find yourself racing in the Clio Cup Series Championship, as well as Clio Cup Europe, and then a Clio Cup Regional, whether that be France, Spain, Mid-Europe, whatever it may be, as well as then racing in a Cup. So you can score points in, 4 different championship standings. So you can find yourself fighting for battles and fighting for championships that you maybe didn't set the year with your eyes on. However, it all falls together. It's a very good package provided by the Clio Cup Series. So we'll have a look towards the safety car. The yellow flags are still out, the safety car board's still flashing. And as and when we can see the safety car, hopefully we will be able to a safety car in this lap. So the safety car is coming in this lap, and we will be able to get racing back underway. And with 16-ish minutes to go as we get to the line, plus that all-important 1 lap, and it's just over a 2-minute lap time. In qualifying, we're doing 2-minute 4s, 2-minute 5s, so you'd imagine during the race we're probably getting towards 2-minute 6s. We might be able to squeeze in a fair few laps here at Imola before we see the checkered flag fall. So the safety car is staying out. Safety car not in this lap. The safety car is still out, still with its lights ablaze. So another lap will be ticked away. Another 3-minute lap, over 3 minutes is what it takes behind the safety car, as they break the beam, 3 minutes 18 that time. So the safety car goes through once again. And Gabriele Torelli naturally will, of course, still be leading, but this just allows him to work a bit more temperature into the tyres and the brakes of his Clio Cup Series car, and into the Michelin Pilot Sport tyres as well. in terms of the engine. They produce around about 200 brake horsepower, but more importantly, 300 Newton meters of torque. So they are very quick out of the corners, and they're not exactly heavy, these cars as well. They don't weigh too much, are just about a ton. It's 1,025 kilos, so a ton and a little bit. But that is completely unladen, so that's dry weight without fuel and without driver as well. But with 300 Newton meters of torque, they don't half pull away out of the corner, and they've got the 200 brake horsepower to use down the straight. All of that will be assisted by a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine underneath the Renault HR13 engine in the Clio Cup RS line Cup 5 car. Currently heading up out of the Tosa hairpin up towards Piratella, which is a very, very quick. It's almost a double left-hander. You can grab as much curb on the inside as possible and then make sure the car doesn't wash wide before you nibble the curb on the way back down in towards Acqua Minerale. So you get the car pointed in, maybe a dab of brakes just to get the nose settled, and then as soon as you get the car in a straight line, jump on the brakes, use as much curb as you dare without running wide, because the circuit does fall back away on you through turns 11, 12 and 13 through Acqua Minerale. And then it's the short burst up the hill, over the crest, under the bridge towards the Grassini chicane, turn 14 and 15, which the curbs have slowly been getting slightly more mellow over the years. Remember, a long time ago they were very, very tall, and you could almost flip the car over just by hitting the curbs, but at the moment they are much more mellow. The safety car lights are off, so the safety car will be in this lap. Gabriele Torelli will be able to hold the order up just a little bit for now and make sure he can control that pace. So with 13.5 minutes to go, plus that all-important one lap, David Puget in third place. He's holding a little bit of a gap back to Luca Franca. We may see him jump. Luca Franca's desperate to get the race back underway. The safety car has peeled his way in towards the pit lane. Gabriele Torelli still sat there holding the field up. He's waiting to go. The green flags are being waved, so Gabriele, it's now all down to what he wants to do with the pace. Now he goes, puts his foot to the floor, catches Luca Franca napping very slightly. David Puget might have responded slightly better. They can't jump out and try and make positions before the safety car line, which they do pass now. So Gabriele Torelli gets the race back underway. Luca Franca still sat there in second place. They run towards turn one. It's all going on in the background. As soon as we've got this race underway, Luca Franca will look to the inside, potentially defending from David Puget as well. Jerzy Spinkovic, after a brilliant round at Paul Ricard, is trying to follow that up with a good round here at Imola, all the way around the outside. I think that was Alex Lancelotti that managed to get the best over someone. No, that will have been Anthony Girardo all the way around the outside of Alex Lancelotti, so a good move early on. Working their way now through Virianti Villeneuve, the quick left-right chicane before you jump on the brakes for the Tosa hairpin. It's all being very neat and tidy up towards the front. The top 5 are slowly starting to work away. Anthony Girardo isn't really too far away. I think we've had a car running wide, hopefully not off the circuit completely. And now the field is back together. Anthony Girardo really bridging the gap between the top 5 and everybody else thereafter. It's all go. Stefan Polderman sat in the mix of that. He's currently down in 13th place. He's trying to work his way through and past the 103, that being Francesco Miotto. And there is the 113, that being Adrian Schimpf. He's looking for a good round at the moment. Adrian Schimpf currently sat there in 11th place. His teammate and brother Alejandro Schimpf in 14th at the moment. Nicolas Millat up to 8th, Adrian Schimpf up to 10th, so he's picking up more and more places. It's very much a one-way affair at the moment with 11.5 minutes still to go. Bouncing over the curbs is Gabriele Torelli, using as much as possible. So too is Luca Franchi. You could hear the car squirming away in the background as he's trying to get the car planted and pointed towards the entry. It's all being very, very neat and tidy indeed. Back down the hill goes Gabriele Torelli on the brakes, and a bit of a lock-up, only on the rear there from Luca Franca, as you'd expect. Downhill all the way, dives to the front as you jump on the brakes. I think he held the brakes just a little bit too long. That will have cost him a slight amount of time. Now we're seeing Adrian Schimpf applying that pressure on Matteo Lancelotti in the number 84. So we cross the line once again, another full lap of green flag running under the belts, and back over the line goes Gabriele Torelli, this time with a far more substantial lead to what we've seen so far. Across the line with half a second back to David Puget, who was only a 10th away from Luca Franca. In towards turn 1, David Puget making his intentions known. Up the inside, there goes Adrian Schimpf, so picks up a place, but has to cut the chicane, bouncing over the curbs, has to cut Virianti Tamburello. However, he stayed in front. Whilst the position was made, he may have to give that position back. Gabriele Torelli with the fastest lap of the race now, as you'd expect, to 2 minutes 6.721. So Adrian Schimpf still doing what he can to defend from Matteo Lancelotti. Whilst he did gain the position, it was arguably unfairly over the gravel. Nicolas Millar still left without too much to do down in 8th place. He can't really attack at the moment. He's got a lot of room behind, so let's get a replay in the background. You can see Adrian Schimpf sliding and skittering through the gravel. Matteo Lancelotti having to jump on the brakes just to avoid contact with the AST competition driver. Through the left-hander at Piratella and then back down the hill. There is Alex Lancelotti, currently down in 7th place. Nicolas Millar sat behind. There is Luca Franca. He's lost touch with Gabriele Torelli. David Puget is still there. Jerzy Spinkovic hasn't really been pulling away, still with the flashing brake lights, which he had issue with at Paul Ricard. So whatever that issue is, the team Unique Racing clearly happy that the car is still performing well, and Jerzy proving that. David Puget all over the curbs. You could hear him struggling to get the car slowed down. It looks like he did. Adrian Schimpf still just about in front of Matteo Lancelotti for the moment. 9 minutes and 20 seconds of the race remaining. Stefan Polderman, you can just pick him out in the middle of that order. Look at the lead Gabriele Torelli has got now. A big lock-up from Luca Franca. I think he's using that rear axle to rotate the car into the corner. Last time we crossed the line, Gabriele Torelli with a half a second lead. David Puget was only a 10th back from Luca Franca. This time it's going to be north of a second. Nicolas Millar running wide in the background on the exit of Rivazza 2. So across the line now to break the timing beam. Gabriele Torelli takes another lap, presumably, yes, the fastest lap of the race, 2 minute 4.713, 9/10 of a second clear. And just as they whiz past my window, David Puget was almost in the lead. That's a spin for car number 17 of Daniele Pasquale for Tudor Motorsport. So he finds himself pointing backwards in a big moment, potentially all the way through 180 degrees. Yep, that is the 165 of Rolando Bordaccini. Have we seen a change? Yes, we have. So David Puget up into second place ahead of Luca Franca. So Anthony Girardo with the fastest lap of the race now, a 2 minute 4.584, so a very quick lap from Girardo. He's currently down in 5th place. You can see him getting closer and closer to the tail end of Jerzy Spinkovic. Luca Franca obviously down into 3rd and potentially under pressure from 4th now. David Puget, he's got 8 minutes plus a lap to try and catch current race leader Gabriele Torelli, working their way through Piratella once again, back down the hill, so the gap between them still around about a second. If anything, Torelli has potentially pulled away ever more, but of course David Puget has done some overtaking since we last saw them. Anthony Girardo not far away, currently in 5th place. He had a second to make up on the lap prior. There is Adrian Schimpf still doing what he can to fend off the number 84 of Matteo Lancelotti, who of course we saw caught up in the first lap incident involving Gian Alberto Coldani. Over the chicane they will go. Nicolas Millar just can't quite find the rhythm that he wants to in this race. Alejandro Schimpf well up onto 2 wheels. René Stiemetz running very wide as well on the exit of the chicane, down in towards Rivazza turn 18. Big lock-ups from the on the rear axle. David Puget has well and truly pulled out a gap now. If anything, he's doing what he can to bridge the gap between race leader Gabriele Torelli. Jerzy Spinkovic just dipping his toes in the gravel. The outside rear wheel just dragging its way through the gravel trap. Adrian Schimpf in the background, really the cork in the bottle for everybody else thereafter. Across the line goes Gabriele Torelli. The lead gap, has it come down? It remains about 9/10 of a second. Luca Franca has dropped away 4/10 from David Puget. Jerzy Spinkovic the same distance back from Franca. Girardo's still around about a second away from that top 4. Giacomo Trebi sat there in 6th place. Alex Lancelotti and Nicolas Millar 7th and 8th. Adrian Schimpf sat there in 9th, and then it is Matteo Lancelotti in 10th place at the moment. That's how your top 10 line up. Gabriele Torelli still leading, but David Puget is pushing forward, and last time through set the fastest lap of the race with a 2 minute 4.194. So David Puget really starting to push forward. 3/10 taken out of our leader last time through, down to 6/10 of a second as they went through sector 1. So if they broke their beam halfway through, I'd say anywhere in between Tamburello and Villeneuve, that is where sector 1 beam is, and yeah, down to 6/10 of a second now. So David Puget with the fastest lap of the race, closing that lead margin down with 6 minutes plus a lap to go. Luca Franca will start to feel the pressure from the 125 of Jerzy Spinkovic in 4th place. Girardo isn't too far away. You can just see him edging closer in the background. He has been lapping quicker than both of them previous. What has gone on here, and is that going to be a spin? There's contact between the 777 and the 53, so Dew potentially looking up the inside of Nick Stefancic, and that just was maybe slightly optimistic, bounced off the rear left corner of Stefancic, and that put Dew in towards the gravel. So hopefully he can get that car back going once again. Luca Franca still under pressure from Jerzy Spinkovic. David Puget not too far away at all at the moment. So as they went through relative to sector 2, we've seen it down right the way to 0.6 of a second now, 0.4 of a second even for a couple of the drivers, but David Puget just about half a second away. There is Adrian Schimpf again locking up the rear, using it to rotate the car, still under intense pressure from Matteo Lancelotti as they come out of the final corner this time. Visually you can see Torelli and Puget very close together. That is the 107 of Christian Ricciarini, very late on the brakes, diving his way up the inside of René Stiemetz, who's also coming under pressure from the 99. That is Guillaume Mayo as they cross the line, absolutely three abreast. Guillaume Mayo gets edged towards the outside of the circuit. He will be pushing the 107 of Christian Ricciarini down towards turn 1. That leaves René Stiemetz without much to do in the way of defence. Adrian Schimpf still under pressure from Matteo Lancelotti as they cross the line. Half a second was all that separates Gabriele Torelli and Clio Cup Series champion David Puget. All the way through the gravel goes the 107, so Christian Ricciarini, whilst he stays in front, of course he will now have dirty tyres up the inside, late on the brakes, and that is what Matteo Lancelotti has been wanting to do for so long. Up onto two wheels for a long time indeed. The car washes wide onto the gravel, having just made the position, a little bit greedy on the curb, and he has to subside that position back to Adrian Schimpf and finds himself back down into 10th place. So David Puget is still only half a second away from Gabriele Torelli, again lapping 0.2 quicker as they cross the line that time through. Let's see that again. So all the way through the gravel goes Christian Ricciarini, somehow manages to stay in front of the 99 in the hands of Guillaume Mayo, and then we see Matteo Lancelotti carving his way, forcing the door open up the inside of Adrian Schimpf, and as he grabs the curb through Villeneuve, just puts it up onto two wheels. Brilliant car control to keep it there for so long, but unfortunately can't quite keep that position. Then going for a rumble through the gravel, that will be Leonardo Arduini that finds himself heading towards the gravel by the looks of that. Yes, it is. So Leonardo Arduini can't really do too much in the way of defence from there, but the 107 of Christian Ricciarini still under pressure. David Puget, he's fallen away, almost back into the clutches of Luca Franca, so maybe a mistake, or maybe pushing too hard on the tyres early on with 2.5 minutes still to go, with that all-important one lap added to the end as well. Gabriele Torelli comes towards the line, still with David Puget sat there in second place. Luca Franca getting closer and closer in third. Jerzy Spinkovic there in fourth, and Anthony Girardo in fifth. He's not really as close as we've seen him so far. David Puget says he was only 0.3 off the leader, and the reason why, another fastest lap of the race, a 2-minute 4.182. So David Puget, whilst he's making his inroads to the leader, Luca Franca is following suit and just following in the wheel tracks of the Clio Cup Series champion. So we've got the three only separated by around about half a second, all lapping within the 2-minute 4s, but David Puget even deeper, getting ever closer to the 2-minute 3s. Car number 16 has had a warning for track limits, so Leonard Vigueur has clearly been getting a little bit greedy. Luca Franca up the inside of David Puget, bounces over the curb. There's no contact between them, but that will have cost David a little bit of time in the way of defence, meaning he couldn't take the apex, and Gabriele Torelli will have to drop down or push forward and maybe make the most of that, just gain a little bit more time. Everybody very equal through the first sector. David Puget's fastest lap confirmed, a 2-minute 4.182 for the GPA racing driver. Jerzy Spinkovic in fourth place. He's got the best seats in the house. He's watching this all unfold, but that's exactly what he did at Paul Ricard. He let David Puget and Nicolas Milan fight in towards the final corner. He entered the final corner in third, and by the time he got to the line, he was in the lead of the race. Black and white flag this time for car number 16, Leonard Vigueur down in 20th place. And that will be for those track limits that he's clearly being a little bit greedy with. Luca Franca very greedy on the curb on the way in. That meant he washed very wide indeed, and we're seeing this battle still underway. Matteo Lancelotti this time giving it another go. Can he keep it on four wheels this time? Well, he gives it a good go on two, but does remain in front. So Matteo Lancelotti in front of Adrian Schimpf. Adrian Schimpf now back under pressure from Damiano Pacetti. A big squeal of tyres in the background, hoping everybody is still pointing the right way. So Matteo Lancelotti still sat there in what is 9th place now, having got in front of Adrian Schimpf. Then it is Damiano Pacetti in 11th place just behind. Gabriele Torelli crosses the line once again. The lead gap this time has come out quite substantially. 7/10 is the lead margin between Gabriele Torelli and David Puget. Luca Franca a further 0.3 of a second back. A further 0.3 back from him is Jerzy Spinkovic. So Torelli still continuing to extend that margin. Gerardo well and truly out of the mix if he's not careful. Giacomo Trebbi in the 1:16 isn't too far away in 6th place. He'll be trying to work his way in towards the top 10. Matteo Lancelotti, having got in front of Adrian Schimpf, is doing what he can to hold it as they work their way through Tamburello and then the run towards Varianti Villeneuve. The leaders working their way through Tosa. So as we crossed the line last time through, I don't think we were down to no time at all. We may still, no, we do. It says we only have 1 lap left. Whether this will be the last lap is yet to be confirmed. Black and white flag from Anthony Gerardo. We mentioned him earlier on in 5th place. That is for track limits, presumably through the chicane if he's being a little bit greedy. But Gabriele Torelli well and truly in the lead. He's extended that margin quite substantially, 0.6 of a second as they're breaking the beams all the way through. Luca Franca still 0.2 away from the rear bumper of David Puget. Jerzy Spinkovic still in 4th place, that top 4 running away. Anthony Gerardo slowly falling into the clutches of Giacomo Trebbi and Alex Lancelotti. Followed then by Nicola Millara and Matteo Lancelotti. He's not far away either. Bouncing over the curb, Jerzy Spinkovic, and exactly what we'd expect to happen. A little bit greedy on the way in, means you're extra greedy on the way out, and that threw him all over the sausage curbs. That will do no good for his suspension and no good for his inroads on towards that top 3. But Torelli now through the final corner, a big lock up again from all of those top 4 as they're pushing as hard as they can to try and confirm their places on the podium. We look towards the start-finish line, and Gabriele Torelli through what is the final right kink onto the final lap of the race. So the final lap of the race now with that extra lap added on. Gabriele Torelli still leading. David Puget responds with the fastest lap of the race, a 2-minute 4.055. So David Puget, he's brought it down from 0.6 of a second right the way down to 0.3. David really starting to open the taps, whether he's saved a little bit on his tyres. What's happened here? So on the way in, very late on the brakes, almost contact between Alejandro Schimpf and Christian Ricciarini, and as he was elbowed right, Alejandro Schimpf has to go for a run through the gravel. It looks like he will keep it out of the wall, but just rejoin pretty much at pit entry. Does he keep it out of the wall? Yes, he does. The marshal's very, very quick on the uptake of flags, and then does rejoin at pit entry. So they've broken the beam at sector 1, and David Puget now only 0.2 away from Gabriele Torelli. Luca Franca 0.2 away from David Puget. Jerzy Spinkovic 0.2 away from Luca Franca. So the top 4 now only separated by around about a second. They head in towards Acqua Minerale for what will be the final time. David Puget will know he's had the fastest lap. Jerzy Spinkovic has set the overall fastest sector 1, only 25.9 seconds. Everybody has been matching sort of 26s throughout the race, and that's the last thing Luca Franca wants through Acqua Minerale. Washes wide and has to take to almost a makeshift escape road, and that almost releases David Puget now onto the tail end of Gabriele Torelli. He's not as close as he would like, you'd suspect, through the chicane. This is where Torelli has been quick throughout the race, all the way through the final sector. David Puget, it's going to have to be a big, big lunge if he wants the race 1 win here at Imola. Luca Franca not too far away. Jerzy Spinkovic, unfortunately, the gap between himself and Luca Franca has grown. Luca, look how strong he is on the brakes. Closes up to the tail end of David Puget through the final corner for the final time. And it is Torelli that has controlled the race from lights to flag. Jerzy Spinkovic running out of road in the background, but the checkered flag is being readied for Gabriele Torelli. Car number 12 will cross the line and take the win in race 1 of the weekend for the Clio Cup Series. David Puget has to settle for 2nd place. He gave it everything he could. And Luca Franca crosses the line to finish in 3rd. Jerzy Spinkovic finishes in 4th. Gerardo, after a race of what could have been, finishes in 5th, followed then by Alex Lancelotti and Giacomo Trebbi. Nicola Millara finished in 8th place, Matteo Lancelotti in 9th, and Adrian Schimpf rounds out your top 10. Of course, we will bring the confirmed results to you in just a few moments' time. Let's have a look in terms of races and Challengers Cup. So Luca Franca, car number 91, he will win the Racers Cup. Alex Lancelotti, who finished in 5th, finishes in 2nd on the Racers Cup. And then René Stiemetz, right the way down in 15th, finished third in the Racers Cup. as far as the Challengers Cup goes, it is Giacomo Trebbi, 6th overall, wins the Challengers Cup. Matteo Lancelotti, 9th overall, 2nd in the Challengers Cup. And Adrian Schimpf finishes 10th overall and 3rd in the Challengers Cup. In terms of Luca Franca, I would say that has secured Clio Cup Italia. Let's have a quick look at the standings just to see whereabouts Luca Franca and what he needed. So Clio Cup Spain, I think, remains as it is. Clio Cup France, David Pouget extends that margin ever further. Let's have a quick look. Clio Cup Italia, I would say Giacomo Trebbi, as he finished in 6th, I think Luca Franca has just secured the Clio Cup Italia title. So this is how they finished. David Pouget apparently took the win, I can only assume Gabriele Torelli got a penalty for a jump start. So David Pouget got given the win. Luca Franca finished in 2nd. Jože Spinkovic in 3rd, followed then by Anthony Gerardo and Alex Lancelotti in 5th place. Giacomo Trebbi in 6th, Nicolas Milas 7th. Gabriele Torelli got demoted down to 8th. Matteo Lancelotti and Adrian Schimpf finishing in 10th, followed then by Damiano Pacetti, Christian Ricciarini, Francesco Miotto, Guillaume, Renault Stimetz, Sandro Cottini, Stefan Polderman, Lionel Vigueur, Alejandro Schimpf and Ludovico Longini rounds out your top 20. So what of Gabriele Torelli? Controlled the race from lights to flag, but with the penalty being applied, dropped right the way down to 8th place. We'll keep an eye out for what happened there. Quinto Stefano finished in 21st. Jacopo Giuseppe Ximenez finished in 22nd. Adam Sasha and Nick Stefancic, 23rd and 24th. Davide Rossini and Mia Primosic finished in 26th. Manuel Stefani and Luciano Gio finished in 28th, followed then by Michael Fay. Donato Barnaba finished in 31st, Daniele Pasquale in 32nd as well. So David Pouget into the finishing position underneath the podium, and I'm assuming a little bit unbeknownst to him as he crossed the line, he did indeed take the win. So we'll have a quick look in the various communications as to what might have happened to Gabriele Torelli. I can't see anything here. I can only assume penalty has been applied. David Pouget now informed exactly as to why he took the win. So another win added to the tally of David Pouget. He just can't stop winning at the moment. Luca Franca definitely secured the Clio Cup Italia title, I would believe, now finishing in 2nd place with a suitable amount of points. Look at him, he's still trying to soak it up, is Luca Franca. And Jože Spinkovic, he's on a good run at the moment. After a win and a 3rd place at Paul Ricard, he manages to pick up another 3rd place here at Imola. It was a fairly quiet weekend from him as to what he was expecting, but yeah, across the line and pick up another podium. David Pouget congratulating friends, family and mechanics. Of course, running for GPA Racing, the team that he runs himself very successfully, not only in Clios, but also in various GT competitions as well. David, off comes the balaclava, off comes the helmet, and clearly a man, plenty of life experience, but very experienced in a race car. And you can see now, yeah, the congratulations being given to Luca Franca and the celebrations underway as Luca Franca is your 2023 Clio Cup Italia champion. Very, very impressed, I'm sure, is Luca. He's clearly worked hard for that one. Looks very, very drained indeed. Towels, hat in hand. But this is how the race kicked off. Gabriele Torelli with a good start, but clearly maybe slightly too good with penalties being applied, dropping him down to 8th place. Luca Franca matched him off the start and was trying to work his way into the lead. Unbeknownst to those leaders in the background, it was all kicking off. Sideways in the middle of the order was car number 60, that being Leonardo Arduini. Left with nowhere to go was Gianalberto Coldani, and he found himself in towards the barrier. But Gabriele Torelli up at the front did what he could just to try and extend that margin early on. David Pouget was already trying to carve his way up onto the tail end of Luca Franca. He went under safety car for around about 15 minutes, but when the race got back underway, Gabriele Torelli really started to extend that margin and just built up that buffer as best he could, potentially trying to overcome a penalty he knew about. Adrian Schimpf through turn 1, running all over the grass, trying to defend from Matteo Lancelotti, and then we saw a spin there for car number 17, that is Daniele Pasquale. Unfortunately, he lost a lot of time in that one, up onto 2 wheels very briefly. We saw the number 53 of Jew. He was trying to work his way up the inside of Nick Stefancic, and Nick came off the better of that one. Gabriele Torelli through the chicane, pushing forward. We did see the change for David Pouget and Luca Franca. David worked his way into 2nd place and already set his sights on the leader. Gabriele Torelli across the line once again. He knew David Pouget was getting closer and closer and closer, but as the checkered flag was waiting, unfortunately it wasn't enough, and Torelli demoted down to third. David Pouget, or Torelli demoted down to eighth, pardon me. It was David Pouget that took the win. Luca Franca second overall and completing his championship campaign in the Clio Cup Italia. And it meant that Jerzy Spinkovic crossed the line in third place. But what a way to kick off the weekend here on Sunday. Of course, that race due to take place yesterday with various minor delays adding up throughout yesterday. Race 1 took place today. Qualifying 2, the qualifying for race 2 later on this afternoon is taking place very shortly. That will be completed at circuit, and then we will be back with you for race 2 later on this afternoon. You can see the podium is awaiting our drivers. We will wait for Jerzy Spinkovic to be announced and come towards the podium to pick up his champagne and his trophy. You can see drivers just milling about in the background, ready to collect their relative silverware. We've got the Mini Challenge Italia currently heading out onto circuit. It's a busy weekend here at Imola. So whereabouts is Jerzy Spinkovic? He will be coming through onto the podium. So Jerzy Spinkovic onto the podium, third place for him. Another podium for Jerzy and another podium for Unique Racing. So very impressed, I'm sure, our Unique Racing. Jerzy Spinkovic doing very well indeed this season. Luca Franca, Clio Cup Italia champion, second place overall here in race 1 here at Imola. So Luca Franca onto second place, and adding to his very impressive run of wins and his Clio Cup Series championship is David Pouget. Again, always ever the sportsman is David Pouget. A quick thank you to Luca Franca, a quick thank you to Jerzy Spinkovic. And now I'm sure we will get the national anthem of the winning driver. Silverware being provided, so the third place silverware to Jerzy Spinkovic, over the moon with that. He will need a bigger trophy cabinet towards the end of this season. Luca Franca will be next to receive his trophy. So 3 different nationalities all being represented on the podium. Luca Franca overjoyed with second place. I'm sure even happier with the Clio Cup Italia championship. And the important one, David Pouget, Clio Cup Series champion, with another win and another trophy to add. So Luca Franca over the moon with that one, also provided for the team's representative trophy being provided. I can only assume to what is David Pouget's son. But now it is time for the national anthem of the winning driver. So your podium for the first race of the weekend, Jerzy Spinkovic finished in third, Luca Franca second, and David Pouget, 2023 Clio Cup Series champion, gets another win. But I think the story of the day has to go to Luca Franca, your 2023 Clio Cup Italia champion. I'm sure Luca and MC Mototecnica will be very, very impressed indeed. But that was the first race of the weekend for the Clio Cup Series here at Imola, and we will be back later on this afternoon for the second race of the weekend.
Ciao, ora vedi, senti la mia voce, pa. Quando c'è un aereo aperto, quindi non diciamo cose brutte, tanto le dico sempre solo io le cose brutte, quindi quando... Siete in onda. Tanto dell'Alpine, ma dell'Alpine. Mica registravate l'Alpine in italiano, scusa. Qui siamo aperti. Andavamo sul feed principale. Così siamo aperti.
Hello, hello. Test 1, 2, 3. Hello, can you hear me? Test, test 1, 2, 3.
Presto e arrivi a chissà.
Però nel senso, cioè, quando arrivate delle mansioni le svolgono, che siete qua, fare la roba che viene più buono. Ah, poi sì. Però si va presto, molto presto. 7:30.
Poi per l'amore di Dio, poi tempo.
Sì, veramente.
Calma, perché prima di 8:30 non apre mai.
Poi metti da gara a gara.
Però ci sono gare che torniamo a mangiare un panino al volo. Non hai pausa, proprio zero.
State in bici alle 7. Ti avevo piacere. Non mi vale la pena. No, vabbè, c'è caldo, freddo,
Io sono come meccanico in Formula 3, quindi capisco.
Ah, beh.
C'è la stessa cosa, sto di là.
caldo, freddo, pioggia.
Scegli bene dove andare, se devi andare a fare loro.
Forse prendi lo scratch.
Ma io ti consiglio di fare loro che il mio.
Vabbè, rimango dove sono stato.
No, sai dove sei? Chiusi.
Io farei più tipo una roba del genere.
Quando vuoi puoi.
Oh, tieni la fissa la telecamera. No, diciamo quella sopra, sto facendo fare una diretta.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the ACI Racing Weekend here at Imola, and it is the final race of the weekend for the Clio Cup Series after a thrilling race this morning. If you weren't watching, where were you? A brilliant race kicked off, in theory, the weekend's action for the Clio Cup Series. We had a qualifying one yesterday, and due to just a couple of small delays which added up throughout the day, as expected in main motorsport, it just meant that we had to shuffle everything around a little bit to get all of the action in. Race one this morning, Gabriele Torelli, whilst he crossed the line in the lead of the race, unfortunately, we said it at the time, it was a little bit of creeping on the line, and that just meant he got dropped down to 8th place, unfortunately, for Gabrielli, giving another win to David Pouget. Since then, we have had qualifying 2, and the order has been set. Looking at some of the updated driver rankings in terms of points, David Pouget extends his lead in the Clio Cup Series. However, he is already champion, so the points, whilst in theory they don't count for nothing, they do add to his total. This is how they will line up for the second and final race of the weekend. Gabriele Torelli lines up on pole position with Jerzy Spinkovic alongside. Row 2 is made up of David Pouget with Adrian Schimpf lining up in 4th, back on song where you'd expect. Nicolas Milin for Milan Competition, his team, has Alex Lancelotti for company on row 3. Anthony Girardo and Giacomo Trebbi line up on row 4. Row 5 of the grid is Matteo Lancelotti and Giuseppe Ximenez in 10th, followed by Damiano Pichetti and Alejandro Schimpf, the second of the two Schimpfs, the two brothers. Francesco Pagano lines up alongside Cristian Ricciarini, followed by Adam Sasha and Ludovico Longini, starting in 16th place. Starting in 17th, and the next row back, let's pick out exactly who that is. That is Luca Franca. Of course, he's got a bit of work to do from 17th place. He was quick in race 1 this morning. Guillaume Mayo lines up in 18th with Nick Stefancic, and René Stimets lining up in 20th place. 21st is Davide Rossini with Stefan Polderman. Sandro Cottini and Francesco Miotto line up 23rd and 24th. 25th is Lionel Vigueur with Mia Primozic lining up alongside with Manuel Stefani and Dew 27th and 28th place. In 29th, we have Quinto Stefana and Luciano Gioa lining up in 30th. 31st is Donato Barnaba with Michael Fay lining up alongside. 33rd is Daniele Pasquale, Rolando Bordaccini and Leonardo Arduini rounds out your 35-strong car grid. By the looks of it, Leonardo Arduini won't be taking to the circuit, car number 60, after an incident that we saw earlier on this morning. And car number 61, that being in the hands of Luciano Gioa. Unfortunately, I don't believe he will be taking to the grid either, so I don't believe we will see, or we will see a minimised grid compared to what we see, but as compared to what we saw this morning. But as always, the Clio Cup Series always produce a fabulous grid with a lot of cars. I'm just having a look to see what else we may have in the order. So Matteo Lancelotti, whereabouts is he? We'll try and figure out. Car number 84. He is starting on the 5th row of the grid in 9th place, followed then by Giacomo Trebbi, car number 116, who is lining up on the outside of row 4. So Giacomo Trebbi lining up in 8th, Matteo Lancelotti lining up in 9th. At the moment, whoever finishes in front of each other will win the Challengers Cup in Clio Cup Italia. So Matteo Lancelotti does have a 2-point lead over Giacomo Trebbi. However, he is starting only a place behind, so we could see the Challengers Cup won here at Imola, you'd suspect. So, and in terms of what else we've got in the order, let's see who else we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout. David Pouget, Clio Cup Europe, of course, has extended that margin over Gabriele Torelli. In terms of what else we've got, the Challengers Cup for Clio Cup Europe is still being led by Adrian Schimpf, and he's in the ideal spot for this at the moment, starting in what is 4th place. So we've still got a few championships to be decided. If you are new to the Clio Cup, this year they are running the Renault Clio RS line, the Gen 5 car. They produce around about 200 brake horsepower and 300 Newton meters of torque, an unladen weight, so a dry weight without fuel or driver. They weigh just over 1 ton. They all run some fabulous Michelin Pilot Sport Cup tyres, which do work really, really well, both the wet and the dry compound. And the Clio Cup Series itself is split into 5 separate standings: Clio Cup Europe, Clio Cup Italia, Clio Cup France, Clio Cup Mid-Europe, Clio Cup España. And you can race in 2 of those. One of them, if you are going to race in 2, one of those has to be Clio Cup Europe, and then one of the regionals. Or if you just want to race in 1, you can pick any of those regionals. And of course, we do have the Challengers and the Racers Cup. The Challengers Cup is for drivers between 16 and 25 years of age as of the 1st of January this year, and for drivers over 26 years old with a minimum age or with a minimum of 10 Clio Cup meetings experience. The Racers Cup is for any driver over 26 years old that has had less than 10 meetings experience of motorsports, or having never achieved a better result than 5th place in the general results in a race this year. So Gabriele Torelli. He gets another go at this, having started race 1 this weekend on pole position. He works his way into position, giving himself a bit of room compared to the drivers behind. He does have a lot more room in his pit box. He now comes to a stop. David Puget pulls up behind. Adrian Schimpf, so too does Nicolas Milin, who's been consistently in that top 5, top 10 throughout this weekend. And throughout the season, really. It's just not quite come to fruition for him. Anthony Girardo, potentially one to watch as well. He's currently starting in 7th place. He's got Giacomo Trebi in 8th. And, well, the drivers we need to watch, the 116 of Giacomo Trebi starting in 8th, and Matteo Lancelotti, the 84, starting in 9th. 25 minutes plus 1 lap of the race will very shortly be getting underway. The final couple of cars working their way into position. Car number 17, Daniele Pasquale. We saw a spin for him earlier on this weekend, which unfortunately brought an end to his race 1 aspirations. But the 5 red lights come on as they go out. Who gets the best start? A little bit of creeping from Jerzy Spinkovic. David Puget, very quick off the line. He'll already be into 2nd place. Adrian Schimpf follows him through. So Jerzy Spinkovic from what was 2nd place right the way down to 4th on the run up towards turn 1. Gabriele Torelli is very defensive on the way through. It looks like David Puget was just helping himself to the rear bumper. We might have had a spin, very well collected. However, that was Giacomo Trebi. He's got the Challengers Cup to worry about. Everything throws back the way of Matteo Lancelotti. Jerzy Spinkovic, he finds himself pointing backwards. The car stalls. Can he get the car relit and pointing the right way? Hopefully so. The top 4 at the moment, Gabriele Torelli followed by David Puget, then Adrian Schimpf and Nicolas Milin. Anthony Girardo, really the best of the rest at the moment. Has Jerzy Spinkovic got points in the right way in the background? I don't know whether he has, because the first car we see is the medical car. Anthony Girardo still sat there in 5th place. He's got Alex Lancelotti and Matteo Lancelotti just sat behind Giacomo Trebi after that small mistake right the way down into 10th place. Maybe didn't work as much temperature into the brakes as he would like. So the start is under investigation naturally, but Giacomo Trebi, he's got the Challengers Cup to worry about at the moment. He's in 10th place. His rival, Matteo Lancelotti, currently up in 7th, so we could see the Challengers Cup swing back the way of Matteo Lancelotti. Working their way in towards Acqua Minerale for the first time. Adrian Schimpf doing what he can to defend. David Puget's made a mistake. He's right the way down to 5th place now. So leading is still Gabriele Torelli. Then we get back to Adrian Schimpf, Nicolas Milin and David Puget. So there's been a bit of shuffling up at the top order. We said Nicolas Milan's be there or thereabouts. Maybe he's about to prove me wrong and work his way on towards what could be another podium this season. Bouncing over the curbs goes Anthony Girardo, working their way through the chicane for the first time, then down in towards Rivazza. So the lead gap through the splits has been around about half a second for Torelli. It's been a good start compared to what we saw in the race earlier on this weekend. Adrian Schimpf locking up the rear of the car, making a small mistake. That washes the car wide, so he will lose a little bit of time through Rivazza from Nicolas Milin. And onto the start-finish straight once again. Do we see any further shuffling? Of course, you can sit in the aerodynamic assistance right the way down towards turn 1. It's not really a straight here at Imola, but looking at it to the eye, Nicolas Milan's getting closer and closer and closer to the tail end of Adrian Schimpf. They cross the line only a 10th apart, and now we're seeing the treble 7 of Nick Stefancic apply the pressure further back. Nicolas Milin up the inside on the run up towards turn 1. So turn 1 of Tamburello, that's where we see a change. We've got a car spinning through the gravel. That will not help visibility at all. It looked like car number 30 of Alex Lancelotti. So Matteo Lancelotti betters his chances of winning the Challengers Cup. A very long way into the gravel is Alex Lancelotti. I don't think he'll be able to get that car out. So David Puget still sat there in 4th place. Girardo has got a field of cars behind him, really the cork in the bottle. And he just about manages to fend off the cars behind as they're all battling away, almost contact there. One of those, the number 84 of Matteo Lancelotti. He needs to try and work his way further up the order and again, better his position, because if he loses out any positions at all, in no time, Giacomo Trebi will be all over his tail. Safety car has been deployed, as you'd expect, as we have Alex Lancelotti backwards in the gravel at turn 1. Anthony Girardo, obviously, has just extended that margin a little bit. So what happened? We'd already lost it on the way in. That almost looks like a complete and total brake failure, that, or he was tagged on the run up towards Tamburello, and that just meant there was nothing he could do. He hit the grass, locked up, and it's a one-way train from there. Jerzy Spinkovic, after what has been a brilliant streak of races, Paul Ricard both times on the podium this morning, finishing in 3rd place. He has put that car into retirement, unfortunately. Of course, we do have a new Clio Cup Italia champion, Luca Franca. Alex Lancelotti shaking off the steam, I think. Hopefully his hands are all right, and that's not a sign of any sort of pain he's feeling. But I'd imagine that was a rather tense moment, arriving backwards at a rapid rate of knots at Tamburello, because that's when the cars really do have to stand on the brakes, and he would have just been hoping that he doesn't collect anybody else. And thankfully, the incident was contained. But Gabriele Torelli in a similar situation to what he was in this morning. The start is under investigation. Car number 125 under investigation for a false start. That is Jerzy Spinkovic. Unfortunately, I don't think that will play any further part in this race as he is in the pit lane. But for the moment, car number 12, Gabriele Torelli for Regione Corsa, is currently leading the way, and behind the safety car, he will just be ticking these laps off. He was very, very safe on the start this time. I think just trying to make sure he didn't produce another penalty that we saw in race 1. And it's weird to see. In theory, it does make sense, Jerzy Spinkovic being investigated. Did he lurch forward, then stand on the brakes just as the lights went out, trying to avoid the jump start, and that in turn gave him quite a poor start? There's a lot of damage on the tail end of the 138. So Davide Rossini for Tudor Motorsport, whether that is from the incident earlier on this morning, or that is some damage that has been contained into this race. Car number 99, Guillaume Mayo, he's a regular name in the Clio Cup Series. He's getting quicker and quicker as the season wears on. Maybe Imola isn't really suiting his driving style this weekend. He's a little further down than you'd expect. Down in 13th place, it's Paul Ricard just a few weeks ago. We did see him going very, very well indeed. But at the moment, to run you through the top 10, Gabriele Torelli leading the way from Nicolas Millar. Adrian Schimpf is the leading Challengers Cup driver at the moment, 3rd overall. David Puget finds himself in 4th place. Of course, he's already won the Clio Cup Series, so he's doing very well in that regard, starting 4th. Anthony Gerardo sat there in 5th. Matteo Lancelotti sat there in 6th place at the moment, the number 84, and doing everything he needs to do to beat Giacomo Trebbi in the Challengers Cup of Clio Cup Italia. That aspect is still up for grabs, but Matteo Lancelotti does have the 118 of Francesco Pagano separating himself and Giacomo Trebbi in 8th place. Then it is the number 43 of Damiano Pichetti and the 107 of Cristian Ricciarini in 10th place. So back by me, I think that was the number 55 of René Steenmetz. It can't be, because the car didn't look those colours. However it was, a long, long way back, nearly caught up in the accident earlier on. It says safety car in this lap. We saw that message this morning, and the safety car stayed out. Oh no, it was the 55, unfortunately. That is indeed René Steenmetz. Did he get back going? No, he has pulled in behind the barrier, and that must be down towards turn 1, where he has put that car into retirement. So the cars are currently working their way through the chicane at Brasini, and then they will work their way down the hill towards turns 18 and 19 at Ravazza, and we may get this race back underway. We look towards the final corner, and do we see the safety car appearing? As of yet, can't see anything. Safety car board still flashing, clock still ticking away, and the safety car is indeed coming in this lap. So Gabriele Torelli holding the pack at the pace he wishes. Nicolas Millar will be the main focus for him. Adrian Schimpf sat there in 3rd place. When is Torelli going to go? We saw him go very, very late this morning. He's holding the field up still. It was almost way past the little right kink before the start-finish line straightens out. Will we see him go now? Everybody's desperate to go in the background. We wait for the car to lurch forward, and now he goes. It's a good start, good restart from Gabriele Torelli. Nicolas Millar will give chase in 2nd place. However, he does have Adrian Schimpf to worry about in 2nd place, or in 3rd place, pardon me. David Puget that sat there in 4th. They're absolutely nose to tail, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Gerardo doesn't make the best start, 3 wide on the run up towards turn 1. One of those was Nick Stefancic trying to be the optimist towards Tamburello, and it's almost 4 wide in the background. Are they all going to get through? It looks like they will. Very, very well behaved indeed. So the top 6, I would say, starting to work away. Then we get back to Damiano Pichetti. Who is that behind Gerardo? It is Matteo Lancelotti. So the top 6 working away. Damiano Pichetti still, or it is Ricci. Yeah, it is Ricciarini. Unfortunately, Pichetti has dropped right the way down to 10th place. What's happened there? Maybe a mistake. Nicolas Millar having to go very defensive. Adrian Schimpf all the way around the outside, tries to make it work. David Puget up the inside of them both. So David Puget, he saw Nicolas Millar defending from Adrian Schimpf and threw the car up the inside on the run through the Tosa hairpin. And we may see David Puget towards 2nd place. Nicolas Millar drop down to 3rd. Yes, he will. Or Gerardo work his way into the fray at the moment, down towards Acqua Minerale, bouncing all over the curbs goes Nicolas Milin. He may just about hold on to the inside through Acqua Minerale. An elbow is given out, and Girardo now looking up the inside of David Pouget. There's contact between the pair of them. All three of them decide to take the escape road, so Nicolas Milin remains in second place. David Pouget and Girardo fighting over third. It's anyone's guess who will get that. Whilst all this is going on, Gabriele Torelli is running away at the front end of the order. Has he settled down? Yes, he has. Girardo in second place also, or in third place, pardon me, also up on two wheels. There was a car having to go straight over at the chicane. That was I thought that was the number 99 of Guillaume Mayo. No, it won't have been. It was Stefan Polderman that had to go straight over the chicane, unfortunately. But Girardo currently sat there in third place. It's been a dream restart for him. David Pouget down into fourth. Adrian Schimpf has gone from third to fifth in the space of a lap. Then whereabouts of everybody else? Schimpf is not on the order. There he is in fifth. Matteo Lancelotti in sixth. Then it is the 107 of Cristian Ricciarini. And whereabouts is Giacomo Trebbi? He's down in 10th place. Challengers Cup Italia rival currently sat there in sixth. Back over the line, Gabriele Torelli has massively increased the lead up to 1.9 seconds. Girardo a second back from there. David Pouget is giving it another go, this time all the way around the outside at Tamburello. You can see the car squirming away on the brakes. Girardo squirms into the side of David Pouget, pardon me, bouncing over the curbs, wrestling with the car sideways a little bit there. A car with damage, quite heavy damage indeed. It could potentially be Giacomo Trebbi that has been in the wars and picked up the damage thereafter. And David Pouget, he's being backed up now into Adrian Schimpf, trying to work his way through and past Anthony Girardo. Nicolas Milin already running away and doing what he can to attack the cars up the road. A big lock up there from Cristian Ricciarini. Somehow got the car slowed down, but the SO course driver losing a handful of positions and a lot of time as well. Working their way through was Nick Stefancic, potentially applying that pressure, just forcing the mistake. Car number 91 of Luca Franca, Clio Cup Italia champion, crowned this morning at Imola. He's currently sat there in 7th place. He will slowly start to apply his attentions onto the coattails of Matteo Lancelotti. You can see a big lock up there. That was from the 116 of Giacomo Trebbi, who has Damiano Puccetti just sat behind. But Gabriele Torelli still out in front and leading. Nicolas Milin 2 seconds away. Anthony Girardo in third. It's pretty much anyone's guess who's going to finish on the final step of the podium, because Pouget is there, so too is Adrian Schimpf. And it is Matteo Lancelotti and Luca Franca in 7th place. Everybody tears their way through the chicane and then down towards Rivazza. The top two are away, but Girardo still defending that third and final spot on the podium. Pouget is there, Schimpf is there, the 84 of Lancelotti, and Luca Franca is now in on the mix as well. They work their way towards the final corner. Through the final corner they will go, and then back over the line. Visually, you can see that lead is just ever increasing for Gabriele Torelli. 2.5 seconds clear now of Nicolas Milin. He crosses the line, and it's anyone's guess thereafter. David Pouget into third place. And it is Adrian Schimpf currently sat there in 5th. He's trying to work his way up the inside, late on the brakes, up the inside of Girardo and in towards Tamburello, position made. So David Pouget up into 3rd, Adrian Schimpf up into 4th, and Girardo right the way down into 5th place, under pressure from losing more immediately off the bat, because Matteo Lancelotti is there, so too is Luca Franca. Giacomo Trebbi only a second away. He just takes a small mistake and he will come into the mix as well. But David Pouget doing well, having got in front of Girardo. He has just started to extend that margin. However, Girardo defending and attacking all at the same time. There's a bit of a swap there. That is Matteo Lancelotti being edged wide, or Damiano Puccetti, pardon me, being edged wide of the 116. Giacomo Trebbi is working his way back up the inside, so we could see yet more changes. And of course, there is the fight for the Challengers Cup Italia still up for grabs. Luca Franca is the meat in the sandwich there. He's trying to split the pair of them, both Matteo Lancelotti and Giacomo Trebbi. There is Giacomo. Well, that is the 118, pardon me. That is 118 of Francesco Pagano that has all of that damage on the front of his car. So towards us once again, we see Nicolas Milin doing what he can to give chase. He's matching Gabriele Torelli for pace on this lap. 2.3 seconds through relative 1, 2.4 through relative 2. You'd expect it to be 2.5 if it carries on at the rate it is. Bouncing over the curb, you can see the cars really skittering around for grip as they slam back down onto the floor. David Pouget has got 2.5 seconds to make up. Adrian Schimpf with a big lock-up. However, he's still not too far away from third place at the moment. Guillaume Mayo losing out there to Christian Ricciarini. He worked his way up the inside on the run through Rivazza 1. Rivazza 2 leads them onto the start-finish straight once again. You can still see the damage on the front of Francesco Pagano. I'm sure he's been made aware of that. Over the line comes Gabriele Torelli. Nicolas Millar still giving chase. David Pouget not really under too much pressure from Adrian Schimpf. Girardo under pressure from Lancelotti. Luca Franca in 7th place as Giacomo Trebi just sat behind. So 2 places separate Giacomo Trebi from the Clio Cup Italia Challengers Cup win. In the background, Alejandro Schimpf pushing forward. A big moment for Anthony Girardo. He bounces over all of the curbs, still doing so, just doing what he can to defend from the number 84 of Matteo Lancelotti. That puts Matteo Lancelotti up into 5th place and a further position away from Giacomo Trebi in 8th place. So his Clio Cup Italia Challengers Cup fight has swung back his way once again. Bouncing over the curbs goes Alejandro Schimpf. Windscreen wipers going, I think, in desperation to get the car pointing the right way. Another place lost from Girardo. Luca Franca has managed to work his way in front of Anthony Girardo. The next car that will meet him will be Giacomo Trebi. Of course, he has that Challengers Cup to think about. It's all going in the background. Alejandro Schimpf has fallen back into the clutches of Nick Stefancic as well as Guillaume Mayo. So it's all go in the background. We'll try and figure out exactly who it is that we may see some changes. But as it stands as well, Adrian Schimpf makes a huge step towards the Challengers Cup title in Clio Cup Europe. He came into this weekend on 224 points ahead of his twin brother Alejandro Schimpf, who was on 165. Alejandro at the moment is down in 11th place. Adrian right the way up in 4th, and you can see him there still catching on to the coattails of David Pouget. Matteo Lancelotti still sat there in 5th place. Luca Franca in 6th. Girardo right the way down to 7th. We saw him in 3rd just a few laps ago. Giacomo Trebi in 8th. Damiano Puccetti in 9th. And Christian Ricciarini in the 107 down in 10th place. Nicolas Milan bouncing over all of the curbs. The usual lock-up that we've got used to on the run down towards Rivazza. Made by both David Pouget and Adrian Schimpf. Adrian is really pushing forward now. A flash of the lights, trying to get in the head of David Pouget. David, the Clio Cup Series champion for this year. He won't be faltered too easy. The Tri-Cup car of Torelli back over the line. The Castrol liveried car of Nicolas Millar, followed then by the DPI of David Pouget under the bridge towards turn 1. Lancelotti now under pressure from the number 91 of Luca Franca in the background. Girardo under pressure from the 116 of Giacomo Trebi. They cross the line the other way around. However, they remain as they are. Girardo just about fends off the attentions of Giacomo Trebi. Giacomo, his attentions will be firmly pressed onto Matteo Lancelotti. In the background, there was a little bit of a swap as well. That looked like Ricciarini and Adrian Schimpf trying to fight their way up the order ever further. Ricciarini and Puccetti, pardon me. And back towards the Tosa hairpin, placing the car in the middle of the road, but a very late move there. Matteo Lancelotti, Luca Franca dived his way up the inside. The 107 of Ricciarini is still trying to work his way in front of Damiano Puccetti. They're still side by side. Girardo remains in front of Giacomo Trebi. Did Luca Franca get in front? Yes, he did. Luca Franca now in front of Matteo Lancelotti. So Matteo Lancelotti in 6th place, Giacomo Trebi in 8th. That is the battle for Clio Cup Italia Challengers Cup. And they are still nose to tail. Girardo still losing places. However, Matteo Lancelotti fighting back around the outside at Acqua Minerale. The car flicks sideways. He can't get the moment collected up. He bounces over the curbs. Does he take to the escape road? No, he doesn't. Girardo does, but Matteo Lancelotti remains in front. So Matteo Lancelotti remains in 5th place. Luca Franca potentially down to 7th because Girardo, having taken to the escape road, can't quite keep the position. Yes, he can. So Luca Franca remains in 6th. Girardo, having taken to the escape road, remains in 7th. And Giacomo Trebi in 8th. And as for the leaders, they're just working their way rather quietly down towards Rivazza. But Anthony Girardo now under pressure from Giacomo Trebi. He had a look to the inside. Matteo Lancelotti having to go defensive in towards Rivazza. Forced the long way round is Luca Franca. Can't get the move done. Anthony Girardo remains in front of Giacomo Trebi. Damiano Puccetti, having got in front of Christian Ricciarini, remains in the positions that they are. But all of that battling has fallen their battle into the clutches of Adrian Schimpf. Back over the line goes Gabriele Torelli. Nicolas Millar still, 3 seconds away now. David Pouget has put a bit of breathing space between himself and Adrian Schimpf. In the background, you can still see that brilliant battle, absolutely nose to tail. Matteo Lancelotti and Luca Franca towards turn 1. There's contact between the pair of them. Matteo Lancelotti went to the inside, defended as best he could. Luca Franca maybe was expecting him to move, but it wasn't quite so. Luca Franca has to remain in 6th place. Gerardo in the background doing what he can to defend from Giacomo Trebi. So 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, absolutely nose to tail, and that will settle Clio Cup Italia Challengers Cup if it remains as it is. 6 minutes plus 1 lap to go. They work their way through Varianti Villeneuve once again towards a Tosa hairpin. Bouncing over the curbs is Damiano Puccetti ahead of Christian Ricciarini. And in the background, that is the 118 of Francesco Pagano, all over the grass, all over the gravel, gets the moment collected up. Guillaume Mayo will pick up a place out of that one. Matteo Lancelotti in the number 84 towards us once again. Luca Franca over the crest towards Piratella. And they remain in the order that they are. Those two fighting away, but of course they're not really dropping back towards Anthony Gerardo and Giacomo Trebi because they're having their own little battle. Now we see Giacomo Trebi looking to the outside of Acqua Minerale. A bit of contact between the pair of them. That's opened the door for the number 43, that being Damiano Puccetti. He works his way up the inside, bouncing over the curb, go all three. Gerardo, I think, gets away with that one best out of the trio. Giacomo Trebi, he's now under pressure from Puccetti behind, so he's having to go from attack to defend. Over the curbs goes Matteo Lancelotti and Luca Franca. Gerardo still now under pressure. A big moment for Damiano Puccetti. That means he runs wide and will drop back into the clutches of Christian Ricciarini. Giacomo Trebi already back onto the tail of Anthony Gerardo. Christian Ricciarini is still fighting away with Damiano Puccetti. He has Adrian Schimpf and Francesco Pagano for company. Guillaume Mayo not really too far away in the background. Up the inside goes Luca Franca on Matteo Lancelotti, and there we see the change. Does Matteo get the best run out of the corner? Yes, he does. He goes for the cut, but they'll be absolutely side by side. Luca Franca gets a black and white flag for track limits. Over the line goes our top four, remaining as they are. In the background, this is the battle that we're looking at. Gabriele Torelli with the fastest lap of the race, a 2-minute 4.729. Still side by side, Matteo Lancelotti and Luca Franca. Matteo Lancelotti on the extreme right, Luca Franca on the extreme left. Towards turn 1 they will go. The cars squirm around on the brakes. 2 by 2 they will go. And Matteo Lancelotti somehow remains in front of newly crowned Clio Cup Italia champion Luca Franca. Matteo Lancelotti somehow remaining in 5th place. Anthony Gerardo still sat there in 7th. Giacomo Trebi is trying to attack and defend all at the same time because he has Damiano Puccetti just sat behind. Christian Ricciarini in 10th place. He's just escaped the grasp of the slightly wounded Alejandro Schimpf. Towards Tosa once again, Gerardo having to go so defensive. That may open the door on the exit for Giacomo Trebi on the run up the hill. Gerardo still going defensive, moving left, moving right. He'll have to be careful, make sure his defence isn't too aggressive. But the top, from 5th to 11th, we see a brilliant battle. Somebody going straight on at turn 1, not nailing the braking at all. That is the 118 of Francesco Pagano. Is that damage now slowly starting to play in effect mechanically? And performance-wise on that car, Gerardo sideways on the run in towards Acqua Minerale. Somehow Damiano Puccetti is in front of all three, bouncing over the curbs, all over the gravel as they take to the escape road. So Damiano Puccetti now in front of Anthony Gerardo. They come over the crest. Who appears first? It's Matteo Lancelotti ahead of Luca Franca. Then it is the number 43 of Damiano Puccetti. In the background, Gerardo is sat there in 8th place. Giacomo Trebi now down into 9th. You look away and they all change their positions. Jacopo Giuseppe Ximenez bouncing over the grass and losing a couple of places. He is now behind Guillaume Mayo and Stefan Polderman. Down the hill they will go. Gerardo to the inside now of the 116 of Giacomo Trebi. So Gerardo works his way through. Ricciarini is going to try the same move once again. So he lost a place on the run in towards Ravazza 1. He remains where he is in Ravazza 2. So Giacomo Trebi, he's got a busy old job behind the wheel of that car. Over the line go the top 4, Torelli, Milan, Puget and Adrian Schimpf. They remain as far apart as they have done throughout the race. Matteo Lancelotti still sat there in 5th. Luca Franca in 6th. Damiano Puccetti in 7th. Gerardo 8th. Giacomo Trebi in 9th. And Christian Ricciarini in 10th. That's all due to change, however, because Matteo Lancelotti having to defend as hard as ever from Luca Franca. Giacomo Trebi still fighting away with Anthony Gerardo. So let's see what happened at the final corner. So the bumper has gone missing now completely from Francesco Pagano. So that car looking much worse for wear. Just manages to avoid the pit entry board, or the pit entry marker. Nicolas Melin using all of the circuit available to him. David Puget 1.8 seconds away from Nicolas Melin up the road. He can't afford to lose any time because 7 tenths back from David Puget is Adrian Schimpf, sat there in 4th place. But there is our leader, Gabriele Torelli, doing everything he needs to do. So David Puget on the lap prior, 6 tenths taken out of Nicolas Melin. He's doing very well indeed. We may still see a change for the second step on the podium Gabriele Tirelli over the crest he will go on the exit of Acqua Minerale towards Grissini. Then he jumps on the brakes, flicks the car into the right-handed chicane, right entry into the left. Over the curbs he will go, and you'd imagine he'll get 2 more laps out of this race, because he will finish this lap. There'll be over a 0 seconds remaining, so he will get to complete the following lap, plus then the extra lap added. But Tirelli is doing very, very well indeed. What of the battles in the background? Is Matteo Lancelotti still holding off Luca Franca by the looks of it? Yes, he is. So Giacomo Trebbi is in front of Cristian Ricciarini now. Gerardo right the way down into 10th place. 5-second time penalty for car number 91, handed out for track limits. So car number 91, that being Luca Franca, so he has a penalty for track limits. So too does 43 of Damiano Puccetti. Damiano Puccetti with the damage, you can forgive those track limits, but of course the penalty has been applied. 10 seconds. However, Luca Franca, who's currently sat there in 6th place with a 5-second time penalty, that will drop him down to, let's see, around about 14th place. Maybe a little bit less. We'll be able to confirm that as they cross the line. The battles have opened up a little bit further down. So Luca Franca 15 seconds back. It will drop him back to 9th place at the moment. So Ricciarini, Trebbi and Puccetti will all get shuffled up one. Giacomo Trebbi now 5 seconds away from Matteo Lancelotti. So everything has swung back the way of Matteo Lancelotti. He came into this weekend 2 points clear of Giacomo Trebbi in the Clio Cup Italia Challengers standings. Gabriele Tirelli has almost extended that lead up to 5 seconds. You can just about see Nicola Milan in the background. 1.6 seconds now the gap between Nicola Milan and David Puget. Adrian Schimpf well and truly there, so maybe a mistake from David Puget that time, and that has meant that 3rd and 4th have closed up. Let's see a replay of what's happened a little bit further back. The number 69, that being Quinto Stefana, coming to blows with Mia Primozic for Lima Racing. So that's where we saw the contact between the pair of them, and also going through is Dew. He has to go for a rumble through the gravel, the pair of them. There is Gabriele Tirelli. Visually, you can just see the gap back to Nicola Milan. But 2023 Clio Cup Series Mid-Europe champion, back to his old ways, back leading the field by almost 5 seconds now. Fastest lap last time through was from Adrian Schimpf for 2 minute 4.286. So David Puget, forgive me, it wasn't a mistake. It was just a rather rapid lap from Adrian Schimpf. 5-second time penalty being confirmed on the screen there. Luca Franca. That will be applied at the end of the race, dropping him back still at the moment to 9th place. So we go on to the final lap of the race. As Gabriele Tirelli comes across the line, he will be told or see the last lap board, and he only has one more 4.9 kilometre rotation of the circuit still to go. Nicola Milan somewhat safe in 2nd place as the inroads that David Puget was making have somewhat subsided, as I think he is more or less occupied with Adrian Schimpf. Matteo Lancelotti doing very well indeed, sat there in 5th place. However, he has Luca Franca back all over his tail. They disappear out of my sight, out the window, back towards turn 1. So the 84 of Matteo Lancelotti and Luca Franca were side by side as they went in towards turn 1. It shouldn't affect Matteo's championship aspirations in terms of the Challengers Cup in Clio Cup Italia. But of course, if he makes a mistake in defence, that could allow Giacomo Trebbi to pick up the Challengers Cup. And of course, this is the final time this year that the drivers will be able to score points in Clio Cup Italia. So Gabriele Tirelli on the final lap of the race, coming back towards us once again. We may see ever further changes in a couple of the positions thereafter. This is the penultimate round of Clio Cup Europe, the final round of Clio Cup Italia. On November the 11th and 12th, we go to Barcelona, where we see the final round for Clio Cup Europe, the final round for Clio Cup France, and the final round for Clio Cup Spain. So there's still championships up for grabs, don't get me wrong. But Clio Cup Italia, this is arguably one of the most important weekends of the year. Gabriele Tirelli will score more points in Clio Cup Europe. He doesn't need to worry about Clio Cup Mid-Europe. He's already been crowned champion through the Grissini chicane, 14 and 15 for the final time. Nicola Milan in the background now has David Puget ever closer. Maybe a couple more laps and he might have been able to do it, but Nicola Milan looks rather safe in 2nd place. David Puget still sat there in 3rd, followed then by Adrian Schimpf and Matteo Lancelotti in 5th. But through the final couple of corners now, through Ravazza, comes Gabriele Tirelli through turn 19, the quick right at turn 18, and the start-finish line will be ready to greet him. And Gabriele Tirelli will take another win in the 2023 Clio Cup Series and will win race 2 here at Imola. A roar from the crowd and away from the team. Emilia-Romagna will cross the line to finish in 2nd place. David Puget over the line in 3rd, closest that we've seen him all race to 2nd place. Adrian Schimpf crosses the line in 4th. Matteo Lancelotti over the line, somehow fending off the attentions of Luca Franca. Is a dead heat at the line. He will take home the Clio Cup Italia Challengers Cup and finish 5th overall. Luca Franca finishes in 6th, Damiano Pichetti in 7th, Giacomo Trebi in 8th, and it will be Christian Ricciarini in 9th, and Gerardo will cross the line in 10th place. We'll obviously bring the confirmed results to you in a few moments' time. Adrian Schimpf finishes 4th overall and is the leading Challengers Cup driver. Matteo Lancelotti 5th overall and finishes 2nd in the Challengers Cup, and Damiano Pichetti 7th overall and rounds out your Challengers Cup podium. Luca Franca, with that penalty applied, will finish a little bit further down the order, but for the moment we'll call it as we see it, 6th on the road, and will win the Racers Cup. Then it will be Stefan Polderman 16th overall and finishes 2nd in the Racers Cup, and then it is Sandro Cottini 17th overall and finishes 3rd in the Racers Cup. There is Gabriele Torelli's team, Ragoni Kos, and they will be over the moon with another win on home soil for Gabriele Torelli. He made it 2 from 2 at Monza. Unfortunately, this morning, with the penalty being applied, he finished 6th overall. However, back for redemption was Torelli, and puts another win to his name. And ever more stickers, I think, to the side of that car. You can see cooling down just a little bit there is Torelli. Hopefully, we see him out at Barcelona. We will also have the return of a few drivers that have been out throughout the previous rounds. But Gabriele Torelli does take the win. Emilia-Romagna finishes in 2nd, David Puget 3rd, Adrian Schimpf in 4th, Matteo Lancelotti rounds out your top 5. Then it is Giacomo Trebi, Christian Ricciarini, Luca Franca, Anthony Gerardo and Alejandro Schimpf rounds out your top 10. Luca Franca dropping from 6th down to 8th. Giacomo Trebi, whilst he was only a position away, not enough for the Challengers Cup in Clio Cup Italia. Francesco Miotto finishes in 11th, followed by Guillermo Jacopo Giuseppe Ximenez in 13th, Ludovico Longini in 14th, Stefan Polderman, Sandro Cottini, Nick Stefancic, Davide Rossini, Adam Sasha, and Damiano Puchetti rounds out your top 20 for Ragoni Kos. Seven Hills Motorsport have had a what-if weekend, I think, at the moment, with a couple of 19th places. Manuel Stefani in 21st, Dew in 22nd, Quinto Stefano, followed by Mio Primozic, followed then by Michael Fay, Daniele Pasquale, Donato Barnaba, Lionel Vigueur, Rolando Rodacini and René Stimets. And unfortunately, retirees was Alex Lancelotti and Jerzy Spinkovic, and nobody starting, and we had a couple of non-starters as well. But Gabriele Torelli into the pit lane, and the final race for himself, at least for Clio Cup Italia at the moment. Of course, this season he's racing, pardon me, Clio Cup Europe and Clio Cup Mid-Europe, the Mid-Europe champion. You can see loosening off the belts, the team ready to congratulate him. Yet more points gained in his Clio Cup Europe aspirations, but he will need a miracle if he wants to be grand champion. Over the moon there is Gabriele Torelli, a win at Imola, of course, in his home country. Emilia-Romagna back to where he deserves to be in second place, losing out to David Puget this season. I think, what, 5-6-time champion David Puget of the Clio Cup Series, or Emilia-Romagna, pardon me, David Puget beating him to it this season. But over the moon, I'm sure, is Gabriele Torelli. Emilia-Romagna, as we say, finishing in second. David Puget over the line in third. If he doesn't win, he seems to find himself on the podium, does David Puget. No matter where we go, a very strong weekend from David, always a strong performer in the Clio Cup Series. Adrian Schimpf back to where he deserves to be in fourth place. Matteo Lancelotti, a brilliant race to finish in fifth and take home the Clio Cup Italia Challengers Cup. Giacomo Trebi finishing in sixth place. Luca Franca with that penalty down into eighth. He's been getting ever quicker throughout the season. Gerardo, again, what could have been in ninth place. Alejandro Schimpf, a good recovery drive for Alejandro, working his way up into 10th place. One of a few other drivers. Stefan Polderman, you'd expect a little bit more from himself, but he started right the way down the order on the 11th row of the grid and managed to work his way to 15th place. This is how the race kicked off. It was a good start from Gabriele Torelli. Jerzy Spinkovic, a very, very poor start indeed. So David Puget worked his way right the way up into second place, and Adrian Schimpf up into third. Jerzy Spinkovic under investigation for a jump start at this point. Down towards turn one, Gabriele Torelli led the way. It was all go in the background, a big lock-up from the 116. That was Giacomo Trebi. That really was the thorn in his side for the rest of the race. Jerzy Spinkovic spun through 180 degrees. We can only expect that due to contact as we saw him coming into the pit lane to put the car into retirement. Nicolas Millau working his way up the inside of David Pouget. Edging the door open. Gerardo then did the same. All three of them took to the escape road. And then in the background, we saw an ever-increasing battle. That was between the number 84 of Matteo Lancelotti and Adrian Schimpf. Matteo Lancelotti then got his wing mirrors full of the 107 of Christian Ricciarini. Bouncing over the curbs go the pair of them. But there is Gabriele Torelli working his way through the final couple of corners. At this point, the lead almost up to 5 seconds. And he manages to navigate the final sector very well indeed. Led from lights to flag. Pole position, not quite the fastest lap, but a flash of the lights over the line. The team congratulate him, and another win goes the way of Gabriele Torelli. He sees the champion flag first, over the moon in the parking area, and back down to the live pictures. You can see just chatting away with his team, and he will be ready to take to the podium, I'm sure, in a few moments' time. Looking up and, yep, being ushered up by the Renault staff to get up to the podium, pick up their silverware, pick up the bottle of bubbly. There is Nicolas Milan's car sat in the background, and he's been ever quicker throughout this season, as you'd expect from Nicolas Milan. He's been going very, very quick throughout, but unfortunately the season hasn't quite gone his way. You can see it's been a brilliant weekend, a very busy weekend as well. With the delays yesterday, we've had to squeeze a lot of action into this weekend, so I've got to say I take my hat off not only to all of the Renault staff, but all of the Renault teams, drivers and marshals and circuit staff, because they've done a brilliant job of shuffling everything around and making sure that we can get a full day of racing underway. The 10-second time penalty we saw applied to car number 43 of Damiano Puccetti eventually got extended to a 15-second time penalty, which dropped him right the way out of the order. The fastest lap went the way of Adrian Schimpf on lap 11, a 2-minute 4.282. So the podium is awaiting the drivers, and the first driver we will see will be David Pouget. No stranger to the podium is David. GPA Racing, of course, his team. He runs a very successful Clio Cup campaign, but also a very successful GT campaign as well, does David. He was the only GPA Racing driver, I believe, here this weekend, so he didn't have any help from any teammates, meaning it just made his weekend even harder. But in the background, I'm sure the driver's getting ready to come onto the podium, and David Pouget will pick up yet more silverware. He will need a much larger trophy cabinet after his efforts throughout this season. AST competition as well, that run both René Steamheads, Adrian Schimpf, Alejandro Schimpf, just to name a few, really, of the drivers that they have run throughout this season, as well as Stefan Polderman, of course. They had a very, very good weekend at Paul Ricard. You should have seen some of the trophies that they were bringing home. They needed to fill a Renault Clio just to try and get them back to the truck. But we will wait for the announcer to confirm. But David Pouget, third overall once again, and yet more silverware going his way. But David Pouget takes to the podium once again. And then we will see the Milan competition driver, the Milan competition owner, Nicolas Milan, takes to the podium, takes to the second step as well. And once again, no stranger to that top step. Another win on home soil goes the way of Gabriele Torelli, a fan favourite as well, as you can hear in the background. All of the fans supporting Gabriele Torelli this weekend. So you can see Torelli on the top step, Nicolas Milan on the left-hand side of your screen, David Pouget on the very right. So the trophies will be provided. There goes David Pouget, the third place overall trophy. Very, very pretty trophies are the Renault Clio Cup trophies provided. Nicolas Milan gets the second place trophy. I'm sure over the moon with that one. And then it will be Gabriele Torelli to pick up the P1 trophy once again. Again, a massive fan favourite, a big round of applause from the crowd. And what a brilliant weekend it has been for Clio Cup here at Imola. Myself, Jack Werrell, running you through all of the action here this weekend. I will see you in a couple of weeks' time at Barcelona. But now it is time for the national anthem of the winning driver. Brilliant stuff from all of the staff here at Imola, but thank you very much for watching the Clio Cup Series throughout this weekend. We will see you in a couple of weeks' time at Barcelona. Bye-bye.